I'm John Stahl-Wert, and along with my colleagues at Center for Serving Leadership, we're committed to support and encourage men and women around the world to make the biggest positive difference they can possibly make through their leadership. Over the course of the many years that I've done this work, my own personal engagement in organizations and with leaders has shifted increasingly into the direction of serving leaders at a moment of generational transition from one season of a person being at the helm to then the next generation, picking up from there. My early work was all in training the 5 actions of serving leadership, all the behaviors. I've done this in many countries around the world. But my colleagues are doing most of that work now. We have some 60 to 80 trainers in the U.S. and globally who are training serving leadership in the 5 actions and how to create workplaces of high performance, how to create cultures of high performance where people love to come to work and do great work and work on teams well and understand the values and the vision and the mission of the enterprise and move the ball forward with their own initiative and a sense of meaning and ownership. That's the core work that we do. In my own case, as I have traveled in this work, I have increasingly watched how that serving leader work builds a capacity to ready an enterprise to hand the baton from generation 1 to generation 2 or to generation 3. And conversely, when we don't do the core serving leader work, how at the end of generation 1, no matter how beautiful the company is not ready to successfully hand the baton over. And I just want to reflect a little bit on some things that are clear to me about that. It is my most meaningful work, personally, to be in the room with a founder or a senior leader who's been there for a long time doing good things. Always in that room when I'm there is pain because the baton passing is not an easy deal under the best of circumstances. And also in that room are others ready to do more and be more. And there is some finishing work that's required in order for the last test of our leadership to be passed. What is the last test of our leadership? Here it is. When all is said and done, the final test of our leadership is that things are really, really fantastic without us. That is our last test. We think of leadership as, can I get these knuckleheads to work together, or can I get enough work in the door to keep my people, engaged? Will I have to lay off in the low season? Or can I figure out a better strategy to get my product to market because I've got good stuff, but the world doesn't seem to know that I have it, and on and on. We think of those as the leadership tests. But there is a final test in our leadership, and that is that we've not only answered all those questions, how to bring something valuable to the world, how to make sure we do it consistently, so that the world loves it every time and brags to their neighbors and tells other people about it. How to create workplaces that are human places so that our good people want to remain on our payroll and they tell their friends, you ought to come over here. How to increase our capability and build good systems of support. Those are the building tests of leadership. But the last one is, I stepped away and everything was fantastic. And that is a unique piece of work that can be missed entirely in the press of all the prior leadership tasks that consume us. I was talking to a CEO about 20 years ago who stepped down from his company, and he was gone about 4 months. And I knew this man well, and he had some character issues. He had some ego issues. He was braggadocious. He was full of himself. And when I met him for coffee 4 months after he stepped down, he said to me, John, after I left ABC Corporation, everything fell apart. And he meant me to be impressed by that. And I was not. because what that told me is he hadn't done his job. And let me just offer a thought or two about what causes a company to be successful in the first place, and then what our job is to transfer that so that the success factors reside in the company after we're done exercising them. First and foremost, give me any company on earth that has sustainable profitability. I don't care what it is. And let's broaden our language and just say organization. So it's a hospital, it's a governmental office, it's a church, it's a neighborhood association, it's a nonprofit, it's a business. Inside the business, it's retail, it's manufacturing, it's service, it's technology, on and on. It doesn't matter. If that organization has sustainable goodness, it is sustainably profitable, it is sustainably valuable in the world, it is always sustainably profitable for the same reason. And that reason is not the goods and services it builds and delivers, or the IP it has, or the certain things it makes or creates or solves. The sustainably profitable key to a company is a body of virtues, goodnesses that it holds to in the course of building what it builds, delivering what it delivers, solving what it solves, etc. This is a fact. Now, I didn't say that you can't make a buck as a bad person with bad motives, creating and delivering something of worth to others. You can. You can make a buck. You can come up with a scheme, and let's say you're an ace drywall finisher, and you can say, you know what, I don't want to work for any bosses anymore. I'm going to go out there and find myself a customer. I'm not going to find another job. I'm going to find a customer because I'm really good, and I can. Plus, I'm good at talking my way into things. I can really silver tongue my way in. You can find a customer, and you can go into that person's house and you can do their drywall for them and finish it all up and take their pay. You can do that, and you can make a buck. You can make a buck without being good. But if you want to be sustainably profitable, you need to be sustainably good. It's very simple. Customers talk to each other. They get on to the review sites, and they say what they think. This guy's a jerk. This guy didn't do what he promised. This guy used language inside my house. I told him I don't want my children to hear that language. This guy left mud tracks all over the place and laughed at me and said, "Look, I'm too expensive to clean up my mud," whatever it is. Or this guy used a subpar product. He said he was going to use A. He used B. Customers talk to each other. You can't be sustainably profitable and be bad. You can't be sustainably profitable building customer reputation that is really the muscle of your business, referral power of good customers. Maybe you can jump in the car and go to the next town and start over where they don't know you. But that goes into my first category. You can make a buck being a bad person or not having virtues at the heart of who you are. But you can't be sustainably profitable. You can't scale and grow. And then secondly, the people who work with you aren't going to stick around if you're a jerk. I mean, this is non-rocket science here right now. The reason that an enterprise is sustainably wonderful in its first generation is always the same reason, and that is the founder was a good person. I didn't say perfect, a good person. That is the reason. Yes, they also had to do good work, and they had to do something people needed, and they had to do it at a price that was competitive and all of that. But doing good work and doing it according to promise and doing it at the right price doesn't keep a business going. You got to build a reputation with your customers, and you got to build a reputation with your suppliers. You got to pay your suppliers on time. You got to build a reputation with your people so that you get better people and so that your better people stay with you. instead of realizing they're quite valuable, but they're going to be appreciated better somewhere else. So very simple. There's no rocket science here. When I am with the founder of a company that's 10 years old, 20 years old, 30 years old, and it has been good, whatever they do, first of all, we acknowledge that it has been good because that person was good. Now, here's what happens in succession. The person is 55 and thinking, I got some sons or daughters in their 30s and I want to turn it over. Or that person is 65 thinking the same question. Or that person is 75 and panicked because they've been white-knuckling the steering wheel of the company. And they don't know how to turn that thing over. Here's what has happened, if that's the case. If they're not ready to turn it over, and if no one is ready to pick it up, the reason for that is that they've done an excellent job of telling everybody what their job is. Job descriptions and, hire people with the right experience and get them on the job and teach them how we do it here and make sure that they complete the task and follow up and measure or inspect or assure that it was done and pay them or don't pay them based on whether or not they were a good worker. They've done that part. They've transferred the skill, the solution, the task that they are delivering into the marketplace over to their workers or over to their children, but they haven't transferred the goodness. And so what we do in generational work is we excavate, to use simple language, the goodness of the founder's generation. Why did they do what they did? What was the purpose that they brought to their work, the purposefulness of their work? Let's understand that, because we want the purposefulness that drove them to become part of the brand and the reputation of the company in the next generation. And it will not automatically transfer. I promise you, it does not automatically transfer. It walks around inside the heart or the mind of the founder. It motivates them, but it needs to get up and out of them and down into others. Or what are the standards and values that they hold to? They do things a certain way, and they do them according to certain principles that are non-negotiable for them. Let's get those transferred as well. What is their understanding of the customer? What regard do they have for the customer when they do the work that they do? Let's get that transferred so that we're not just handing over work, but we're growing up our people and our next generation into a shared vision and mission and values in the work. It's fascinating to me that the measure, obviously, of a sustainably profitable business is sustainable profitability. That's the great duh of the day. The measure of a sustainably profitable business is sustainable profitability. We see it on the P&L. We can see it at the end of the year in our EBITDA. We see it in accumulating assets on our balance sheet. But that profitability is not what produces itself. And it isn't also the particular skill or technology or IP that we take out into the world that produces that sustainable profitability. What produces it is that set of standards of meaning and standards of values and standards of customer regard that shape how we went about doing it. And this is the case. You can drive down the street and you can pass 4 hamburger joints and decide which one to go into, because it isn't a hamburger you're after. You're after a hamburger delivered with a certain standard. You're after a hamburger delivered with a certain quality. It is the deeper things that are there. You're not an animal with a buck in your pocket exchanging that for a burger. You're a person who wants to be treated a certain way, have promises kept to you, responded to by people inside that company as though you are a person, and that is what you put on Yelp afterward. That's fantastic going in there, man. I love the service. I love the warmth. I love the smile. I love the energy. I love the vibe. I love the food. I love the taste. I love the quality. It's the goodnesses that reside inside. And so if you are in your 5th or 10th or 20th year of your business, you are waking up to the fact that there's some work left to do. We have no time to think about what I just shared at the beginning of our company. We don't. We bring something out into the world hoping that we will find a customer. We bring something out into the world believing that it's valuable. Otherwise, we wouldn't have put a second mortgage on the house. That's how it starts. We stick our chin out. We tell our spouse, yeah, I know I have that job offer over there, but I think I can find a niche in the market, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to deliver something in. I think it's going to be good. That's how we start. And then we are visited with 1,000 problems. And when I say 1,000, it's way more than that. Day by day by day, moment by moment by moment, sorting out the operating procedures and navigating the hurdles and the obstacles to get that thing done. And if we are fortunate, we deliver something to a customer as promised and we get paid. And if we are really fortunate, that customer likes how it was done and brags about it. Now we are on the starting line of maybe having a business, because we said we'd do it, and we said it would be valuable, and we set a price on that value, and we did it, and they received it, and they agreed with us that it was valuable, and they talked to someone else, and now we got a phone call we weren't expecting. You know what? We didn't even know that person to try to get their business, but they called us because, they're friends at church or whatever. They go to the club, and now we got another customer. And now there's only one of us, and there's 2 of them, or maybe there's 10 of them. We have new problems. We don't have time to ask the long-term succession questions. Now we got to hire someone to help us, because we did so well out there in keeping our promise according to our standard with the customer, that the customer sensibly told other people that was great. You ought to check them out. You didn't like it over there with that company? Check out those guys. Now we have more customers. Now we have more customers talking to more customers. Now we've got to hire people. Now we've got payroll. We've got accounting. Now we've got liabilities. It piles up. And we get to $100,000 a year, and we get to $1 million a year, and we get to $10 million a year, and we can very easily stay in the rut of doing all the doing in our business, telling people what to do, keeping an eye on everything, retaining inside of ourselves the deeper excellencies, the deeper goodnesses that actually have produced this value proposition. And as long as we're there, it's fine. As long as there's enough of you to go around, it's okay. Your 6 employees or your 16 employees or maybe your 60 employees are going to get enough of you, so that when they're out there on your behalf and on the behalf of the brand of your company doing what you taught them how to do, you're close enough to set them straight when they do it wrong and make it up to the customer when you do something that you shouldn't have done, etc., and you can stay profitable. But there is a time as you get older, and there is a time as you get bigger, when you have to unpack the rest of it. Why do I do this? Why do I find this meaningful? How do I think about purpose as I do this? That you got to unpack that and then transfer that too, so that you increasingly have people who are aligned with you. We teach you how to do that, but it has to be done. How do I make the decisions that I make? Hey, boss, what should I do about this? Do this. Hey, boss, what should I do about that? Do that. How do I know how to answer those questions? Let me teach that, so that the hey, boss quotient goes down, because they don't have to ask. They're customer facing. I'm on vacation. Something comes up. What would I ask my boss? What would my boss say? I don't have to ask him. And when he comes back, he's going to see what I did. He's going to say, good job. We got to get that stuff out of us and into them. I think of it very physically. Up and out of us and down and into them. And that requires, very, very sturdy processes, but it's done by every company that successfully navigates the succession journey into a time. And here's what I watch very carefully, and I covet this for every serving leader I know. There is a day coming when you either will be frantically hanging on to the enterprise that you still don't know how to let go of because you're essential, you're still essential, or you left it go and it deteriorated fast. That's one path. And by the way, it's the same path. You frantically hanging on at 70 or 75 because if you step away, it goes south. That leads to it goes south because we can't hang on. That's path number one. Here's the path I like, and I see it again and again and again. It's not in your hands anymore. The decisions don't come to you anymore. The growth of the company is happening without you now, and it's good. And you look at whoever is in charge now, children of yours, grandchildren of yours, people that you brought in, and you are proud of what they're doing and how they're doing it. And if you want to be involved a little bit, you can, because you're not a problem to the people in charge. You don't reach in and try to act like the boss anymore. That day is over. You turned it over. But you don't have to be involved if you don't want to. You can do other things. There's other things on your mind that you'd like to be involved in. I love that path. And my encouragement is find some time in the midst of all of the driving challenges of keeping your business afloat and growing it. Find some time to look forward to that day when you are no longer the boss, so that when the company is no longer in your hands, it is still fully excellent, carrying the mark that you placed upon it when you first created it.
For more information about the Center for Serving Leadership, visit our website at centerforservingleadership.com.